The Bears are not accepting a low standard of play anymore from anyone on this roster. And with Velus Jones Jr.'s muffed kickoff return this past Sunday against the Tennessee Titans, it looks like his days of being a kickoff and punt returner are over. He will stay on this roster, though, as a running back and wide receiver. But I can tell after Matt Eberflus's face after the muffed kick return is that he was pretty much done with him at that position. So what did Ryan Poles go out and do? He found himself a wide receiver, kick returner, and punt returner to work out at House Hall this past Tuesday, who he could sign by the end of today. And with Rome Odunze's recent injury news that it was just a knee sprain and he is week to week, the Bears are going to have to go out and find a depth piece for wide receiver and returner behind DeAndre Carter, who had a huge game. But we need someone that can fill in quickly, and Poles went out and did that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Dick Brody, and as always, thank you for tuning in. Now, before I get more into today's show, hit that like button on this video if you're happy that the Bears are being aggressive about finding another returner and wide receiver to not only get some depth while Rome is healing up, but also to help relieve Velus Jones Jr. of his return man duties on this team. Along with that comment, if you think that we need a new returner or just keep DeAndre Carter back there, and if you haven't already, please could hit that subscribe button. We're 65 away from 18,000. Let's hit it today, and I appreciate all your guys' support. So the new returner, David Wallis, who was recently with the New England Patriots as an undrafted rookie free agent and had a very nice preseason, is a 23-year-old, 5'11", 183-pound wide receiver return specialist who it comes from Randolph-Macon College as an undrafted rookie free agent. From Cedar Point, North Carolina, he's fast, athletic, and very reliable and consistent. And he has quite the resume to show that. A first-team All-State 3 times, an All-Region All-State 3 times. Along with that, awarded top offensive wide receiver this past year by the Touchdown Club of Richmond, an ODAC first-team All-American. Clearly a talented guy, but also has quite the brain as he's been all academic every single year in his 5-year NCAA career. He learns quick, is a leader, is a good character, and I can get behind that, especially with how Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles have built this team so far. But let's get behind of what he does actually on the field. So during his time in college, he has been very impressive, but the last 2 years, he has ripped it up as a wide receiver and return specialist. Being a pretty darn good football player, his stats show for it. This past year in 2023, he played in 13 games with 57 receptions as a wide receiver for 957 receiving yards and 18.1 yard per catch average. So this guy's an absolute first down machine and continuously moves the chain. Along with that, having 12 receiving touchdowns, including a 74-yard deep ball reception during that time. So he can spread out the field and make yards for himself and spread out the offense. But also 4 games this past year out of his 13 with over 100+ receiving yards, 7 games with more than 80 receiving yards. Pretty darn impressive if you ask me. And in 2022, not nearly as many receiving yards, but he had more receiving touchdowns, 13 receiving touchdowns in 22 when he was in his first senior year. He redshirted his freshman year due to COVID, so then he got to play an extra year in college. But 25 receiving touchdowns over the last 2 seasons is very solid, and his return game, pretty darn good as well. 20.2 career average over the last 2 seasons in college, where his average this past year was 26.2 yards. So big significant improvement from his first senior year to his second senior year, but really just is good at putting teams in a very solid field position, whether it's on the offensive side of the ball or the return game. So a fast kid who rips it up, has solid vision, isn't a dual threat. And like we said, we need versatility on this team, and he absolutely brings it. Just looking at the stats and what he's done so far with the New England Patriots, averaging 22 yards per return during the preseason and having a nice few receptions there as well. It's that time of the year again. Football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops for incredible promotions, such as weekly risk-free boost on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. And if it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. It's that simple. But that's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes to their Super Survivor and Square contest. Get your entries in now for your chance to win huge cash rewards. When you're ready to get started, use my promo code Another Year to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with my promo code Another Year now before you even place a bet. So now the big question becomes, why bring in him? Well, one, you get a guy who can cover punt return and kick return if DeAndre Carter gets hurt, which obviously we saw he's a pretty solid returner this past Sunday against the Titans, averaging 12.8 yards per catch on his punt returns and a 67-yard kickoff return. And we don't have to rely on Velus Jr. ever again in that department if we have someone behind him. Two, you bring in a solid wide receiver who can play multiple roles on this roster, so depth can be more stressed out. And three, dude is proven, another potential good gem from an undrafted rookie free agent standpoint that Poles can bring in for absolutely nothing. And what does this mean for Velus Jones Jr.? Well, plain and simple, he's done returning. We absolutely know he needed that. That's over 8 muffed punt returns and kick returns in his 3-year NFL career. I really hope to never see him back there again. I like what he does from a running back perspective. But return game, he can be as athletic as we want, as fast as we want, but the dude just cannot hold on to the football or field a punt. That muff kick return was terrible, almost turned the entire game around. And I'm happy Matt Eberflus went over to him, pulled him right away, but also wasn't aggressive with him, just said, hey, you're kind of done with this. Kept his cool, but made the call, putting DeAndre Carter back there, which obviously it worked out really well for the Chicago Bears. Velus Jones Jr. is just not meant for returning. Running back, he does fine. Wide receiver, sure, does good every now and then. But he literally took out Rome Odunze as well. He's just not a good luck charm this past Sunday against the Titans. Hopefully that changes for him. But I really, really, really want to see Velus Jones just stick to running back. And I'm happy that Rome only has a knee sprain. That was super lucky. Just keep Velus off the field for a minute. That's all I'm going to say at the end of this, but that's what it means for him. He'll strictly be able to focus on running back. Hopefully that helps his Bears team overall in the long run. And quickly before we close out today's show, if you haven't already, please get your ticket to our viewing party this upcoming Sunday for the Bears take on the Houston Texans. It'll be at Rizzo's Barn Inn in Wrigleyville. Doors open at 5 p.m. Tickets are in the description below, presented by Freshly Organic Tequila Seltzer and Authentico. Your ticket is $20, but is a $10 donation to a local Chicago charity, College Bound Opportunities, along with getting you a margarita when you walk in the door. So please get your ticket today. Link is in the description. And bear down, baby. I know that it's obviously, a scary week ahead because of how the offense did, but I am confident that this Bears team can take down the Houston Texans in Houston as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I also just did a preview video on it, so go check that out after this one. But with that, thank you as always for tuning in this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, let's hear it loud and proud. Bear down, baby.